who's there? Back again with me, the most sophisticated Jeep dude, about film reviews. This time I will tell you about a film starring dude Leonardo DiCaprio. This film tells about the revenge taken by dude Leo for the murder of his son. Okay, without further ado, let's jump right in. This is the movie. Here he is, the one and only, our beloved dude, Glass, played by Uncle Leo. At the beginning of the story, we will be presented with Glass's memories of his wife from the Pawnee tribe, one of the Indian tribes who settled in European land, and young Hawk, the son of Glass. Little Thing is seen crying because his house has burned down. A few years later, Hawk starts to grow up. They work with a group of Europeans led by Captain Henry, the captain. Henry was chatting with his assistant, Uncle Vit. The relaxed atmosphere suddenly becomes tense when Uncle John comes with a body full of wounds and naked. Suddenly, a group of Sukuri, an Indian tribe, came to attack them. Chaos ensued and they fled to the ship for safety. After their journey into the forest, Glass the Brave was set to hunt alone, but instead encountered a savage honey bear. Although Glass managed to defeat the vicious bear, Glass was left critically wounded from the bear's attack. Soon after, Captain Henry and the people found Glass. Luckily, the captain had medical training, so he was able to administer first aid to Glass. That same night in the forest, the Sukuri encountered another animal fur trader from France named Tosan. It turned out that the Sukuri were working together to obtain fur, to exchange it for a certain number of horses and firearms. The Sukuri attacked Glass's group because the chieftain's daughter was abducted by an unknown European. The chieftain wanted to pursue his daughter's kidnapper. The following day, Captain Henry and his group were ready to continue their journey. Glass, who was seriously wounded, could only lay down and had to be carried using a stretcher. The journey wasn't smooth as steep cliffs confronted them. When they faced these cliffs, the captain and his group began to find Glass to be a burden. Captain Henry decided to kill Glass. At that moment, Hawk, Glass's son, pleaded for the captain not to shoot him. When he aimed his gun at Glass, the captain could not bring himself to shoot. The captain then offered $300 to any of the workers if 3 of them would accompany Glass in his critical condition. Upon hearing this offer, Jim and Fitz immediately volunteered. After 2 days of being with Glass, greedy Fitz started wondering why he hadn't died yet. Fitz then approached Glass and persuaded him to agree to be killed by him. Fortunately, Hawk witnessed Fitz's action when Glass was almost out of breath. Hawk punched Fitz and cried out for Jim's help. Fitz was worried Hawk's cries might be heard by the Sukuri. His body slightly improved. He desperately began to move his paralyzed body and rose from his grave crawling. Slowly, he searched and he found a meat hawk that had turned pale and frozen from being buried in the snow. Now he was about to continue his journey, and the only thing on his mind was revenge. He started eating whatever he found on the road to survive and treated his neck wound by burning it. Until one day, Leo, who was relaxing by the river, noticed the Sukuri group approaching. One of the Sukuris noticed Leo. Thank God our beloved mother managed to escape. At night, while he was asleep, he heard the howling of wolves. After he checked, he saw that there was one. On the other hand, Big Fitz, Bastard, and Jim arrived in front of the gate of the European warehouse. Fitz told Jim, "Don't say anything to the captain. If Jim dares to open his mouth, they would both be hanged." Inside the room, Fitz made up a story to the captain, that Glass was dead and Hawk had gone off somewhere countless because he was heartbroken over his father's death. On hearing Fitz's story, the captain felt both sad and proud of his two subordinates for carrying out the mission. And it was observed that Tosan's hunting group was camping there. He was certain that they were the ones who had killed the Indian man who had aided him. It turned out that this group had deceived Sukuri because it was Tosan's group that had kidnapped the chieftain's daughter. Las arrived with his rifle and grabbed Gap Tosan from behind. The chieftain's daughter took a knife and cut off Tosan's manhood. Glass managed to escape with the horse he had stolen. The following day, while Glass was asleep, he heard a group of Sukuri approaching him. Glass woke up and ran, getting on his horse, until he plunged into the abyss. This is the grandeur of Uncle Leo. Even though he was torn apart and seriously wounded and had fallen into the abyss, he was still alive. In the abyss, he felt the cold temperature beginning to seep in. Not wanting to die from freezing, he tore open the horse's stomach and pulled out its entrails so that he could enter the horse's stomach to warm himself. After the snow stopped, he came out of the horse's belly and traveled. Outside the warehouse, a man asked to come in, introducing himself as one of Tosan's subordinates. Once he was in, he told Captain Tosan that his group was attacked and killed by a man, and he showed that man's drink bottle. Seeing it, Jim said to the captain that the man who attacked may be Hawk. Upon hearing that, Captain Henry immediately prepared his troops to search for Hawk's existence. Fitz, who realized the man is none other than Glass, was scared and assured Glass would take revenge on him. The search was carried out by Captain Henry's group till late at night deep inside the forest, and unexpectedly it was Glass. They immediately rushed to help Glass and took him back to their warehouse. In the morning, upon arrival at the warehouse, Captain Henry searched for Fitz. The captain searched every room shouting, and it turns out Fitz had already fled with him. Furious, the captain let Glass join in the search for Fitz. Once they were ready, Captain Henry and Mamang Glass started their search. Leo, who knew the surrounding terrain very well, assumed Fitz would head into the forest, and sure enough, they found the tracks of Fitz's horse. Upon entering the forest, they split up, the captain going west and Gla heading east. Before long, the captain found Fitz, who was already prepared and pointing a gun at the captain. Finally, from a distance, Mamang Glass heard the crack of a rifle. He rushed towards the sound source. There, Mamang Glass found the captain lying in a pool of blood, dead. Seeing this, he was certain that the culprit was, and he is currently hiding. Gla always had the idea to lure Fitz out from his hiding place. Even though cornered, Fitz still didn't feel guilty. Fitz said that it was Hawk's fault. He screamed during the incident. Hearing the chatter, his beloved Gla was... This movement was indeed won by Glass. He noticed a group of Sukuri across the river. He stared at them and threw Vit's body into the river towards the group. The Sukuri pulled him up and slit Vit's throat, decapitating him. The chief did it purely to show gratitude to Glass for saving his daughter's life. He also saw that the princess of the chief he had saved had rejoined them. In an instant, Glass recalled the words of the Indian man who had saved his life. Revenge was in God's hands, not man's. The film is over. Hatur Nuhun Sampura Sun. Thank you to those who followed the plot of this film. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Keep up the enthusiasm for movie storytelling.